woman is necessary for normal conception to occur. So what can cause Asherman syndrome? The lining of the womb, which is the inner lining of the womb, has two layers. We have one we call the functional layer, and we have the other layer which we call the basal layer. So the role of the functional layer is for us to shed every month when we see our menstruation. So that's the role of the functional layer. That's where we shed off. While the basal layer is what regenerates the functional layer. So it's like a base which regenerates the functional layer, which we keep shedding every month. So when a woman has had a D&C, this may be as a result of probably miscarriage, termination of pregnancy, evacuation following miscarriage. A D&C following that tampers with the basal layer. If the functional layer has been removed, then if anything tampering with the basal layer of the womb may result in adhesion formation, and then what we call uterine synecdoche or fibrosis. And this can happen in varying degrees. You can have a situation whereby there's total obliteration of the uterine cavity. I mean that in the cavity it's supposed to be a cavity with a space in between. Now you have that the wall of the womb come together now. Then there's obliteration of the cavity of the womb, and this is maybe serious. So what happens if a woman has had uterine synecdoche or Asherman's? Before, at least I forget, it can also occur following surgeries like cesarean section or myomectomy, which is fibroid operation. So if a woman who has had uterine synecdoche, what did she experience? What are the signs and symptoms that she will see and say, oh, this could be Asherman's, this should be uterine synecdoche? Of course, if the womb of the woman is obliterated, there will be scanty. First of all, she may notice scanty menstruation following the D&C she had, or following the termination of pregnancy, or following the miscarriage she had. There will be oligomenorrhea, scanty menstruation. She may have, there could be absence of menstruation. She won't even see her period anymore, which we call amenorrhea. If she has, and then there's also accompanying infertility, because when she's not menstruating, the womb is obliterated. Then she may have infertility. Infertility is commonly associated with Asherman syndrome. So a woman who has had Asherman syndrome, what is the hope for her? How can she treat this condition? If you've had this kind of symptom, or this kind of symptom I've mentioned, following a D&C, or following an evacuation, or following a miscarriage, then you should quickly, as soon as possible, see your doctor, because this is something that it can be very difficult to treat. So when you have Asherman syndrome, what would the doctor do? Most times, you can dissect the scar. The adhesions can be removed via dissection through surgical dissection. That's the removing of the scars. This can be done, and it can also be done hysteroscopically. That's there's what we call hysteroscope. You take it into the womb, that you visualize it like a screen is showing, and then you use the hysteroscope to dissect, to break the adhesions, to break the scar, so that you can see the fresh functional layer. Following breaking of these scars, there's a chance of it reoccurring. So the doctor may put what we call a catheter and inflate a balloon and inflate inside of the womb, so that the wall will not oppose themselves, and the walls of the womb will be kept opposed. It will not come together. Then another thing that can be kept in the womb could be IUCD, what we call the intrauterine contraceptive device. It can be kept in between the walls of the womb, can be kept in the womb, and then it allows the womb to be apart. Then it can't heal like this anymore. Following that, or if after doing all the adhesion, adhesolysis, and then there's still difficulty in difficulty in removing some of the adhesions, especially the ones around the ostia. What I mean ostia is the opening of the fallopian tube into the womb. Remember, sometime in the show, we've talked about how pregnancy occurs, that after the woman ovulates, the egg comes through the fallopian tube, and then the spermatozoa swims upwards to meet with the egg, fertilization occurs, and the baby moves back to the womb to attach to the wall of the womb. But of course, when you have adhesions like this, there won't be implantation at all, because the womb, the line of the womb needs to be, there's an architecture of the line of the womb that supports pregnancy. So when if the adhesions, the ones around the ostia, that's the opening of the fallopian tube, if it's difficult to remove, then of course it's going to lead to tuber blockage. And when the tubes are blocked, the option for the woman is to go for IVF immediately, because we know that for you to be able to use your eggs, you need to quickly do an IVF as soon as possible. The younger you are, the better the chance of you using your own eggs for your IVF program. So the earlier you do it, the better. Then another thing is that sometimes this addition becomes so difficult, it becomes impossible to separate, inseparable. What is the option for a woman suffering from this kind of condition? You can also do an IVF with a surrogate mother carrying the pregnancy, because it may become difficult for pregnancy to occur in a woman suffering from this kind of irreparable adhesion. But most women will be able to get it right. Most people will be able to, the adhesions may be able to be removed, and then she can conceive naturally. But I always advise, my advice for every woman who has suffered from Asherman's or who is suffering from Asherman's, as soon as the adhesiolysis is done, when the adhesions have been broken down, quickly try to get pregnant before, so that it does not reoccur. Because if it reoccurs, because you know, of course, when the adhesions are broken down, healing may occur again, and it may heal as scars again. So the earlier you get pregnant following an adhesiolysis, the better for you. And if you are not getting pregnant naturally, come for an IVF immediately, so that you don't waste time. I advise every woman who listens to me or who has relatives suffering from this kind of situation, friends, families, church members. We know people having conditions like this around us, but I advise you to speak the word to them and let them quickly come for their IVF. At True Care Fertility Clinic, we may be able to help every woman suffering from this kind of problem. So I advise you that you tell them, spread the word, and let them know that there's a solution for them out there. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless you.
I want to appreciate Dr. Ivy for coming on assisted conception to talk to you about Asherman syndrome. I hope you enjoyed that bit. Okay, I want to go for a break now, and Dr. Joe is standing by on body care. And on body care today, we're looking at how to lower high cholesterol naturally. It's the #1 health show.
Hello! What if there was a cool trick that you could turn on at will and use it to lower your body's cholesterol levels naturally? If I told you about it, would you be interested? Of course you would.
So the trick is all about a biological circular movement of cholesterol. This happens in our body naturally anyway. So what we're going to do is that we're going to interrupt that circular movement and lead the cholesterol out of our body naturally. We're not going to use any pills, okay? If we lead the cholesterol out of our body, we lower our blood levels of cholesterol effortlessly. You don't need to do a lot. Okay, so that's why this is a very neat trick. Now, this circular movement is called Entero hepatic circulation. Don't panic, I know that's a big word, but I'm just going to explain it to you right now. Entero means bowel. Hepatic means liver. So it's about bowel-liver circulation, okay? So here is how it works. The liver dumps cholesterol into a bowel through bile. A digestive process takes place in the bowel using the dumped cholesterol in the bile. The cholesterol gets reabsorbed back into the liver from the bowel. So the same process happens all over again. The next time you eat, the liver dumps the cholesterol into the bowel. And then, of course, the cholesterol gets reabsorbed back into the liver. So essentially, that is the bowel-liver circulation. So let me just explain the process again in detail. When we eat, the food gets digested, nutrients get absorbed. The body uses the digestion process to also correct biochemical mishaps, okay? And one of these mishaps is excess cholesterol. So the liver dumps the excess cholesterol into the bowel through the bile. So we're going to take advantage of this dumping exercise to reduce our cholesterol levels. But we're only going to succeed in doing this if we are smart. Bile with the excess cholesterol mixes with the food, and then of course the digested food travels with the cholesterol along the gut very nicely. So here is how the process actually happens. That's the liver there, and that is the gallbladder, and that's a stream of bile flowing straight through from the gallbladder into the bowel. Usually the liver makes bile using the cholesterol that we have, the excess cholesterol, makes the bile, stores it in the gallbladder, and when we eat, the gallbladder contracts, releases the bile straight through into the bowel. Our gut is like a river. Food flows through it like water in a river. And in this context, the transit time, which means how long it takes for the food to flow through, is very important. If the river flow is smooth and regular, you lose a lot of the dumped cholesterol we're talking about with your effluent, and this happens effortlessly. You don't have to do a lot on your part. So it's a bit like this river here. As you can see there, the water is flowing through the river quite smoothly, and that is how you want your gut to perform. And this is how you want it to be in real life. You want the peristaltic waves to move the food along your bowel very nicely, as you can see there. On the other hand, if the river flow is stagnated, then a lot of the dumped cholesterol gets reabsorbed back into the liver. If you remember, we started this conversation with bowel liver circulation, and the longer the transit time, the more of the dumped cholesterol that gets reabsorbed back into the liver. We want to avoid that. So it's a bit like that river, as you can see there, there's not much of activity going on there. The river is more or less stagnant. And in real life, this is what happens. Not much movement. Okay, that is not good. That encourages more reabsorption of the dumped cholesterol. So what does this mean? Well, it means we can take advantage of this biological function and apply a unique principle. And what's that principle? Well, the principle is that we're going to eat foods that A, make us regular, and B, foods that attract and bind the dumped cholesterol into the substance of the food and run away with it like a thief in the night. Okay, that's the principle. Foods that make us regular, foods that attract and bind the dumped cholesterol. And that stops the reabsorption of the cholesterol back into the circulation straight to the liver. So how do you achieve this? Well, you achieve this by a simple method of eating foods that are high in soluble fiber. That's it. Foods that are high in soluble fiber. Now, let me explain. So here's how it works. When you eat a food like a burger, the burger travels down the esophagus to your stomach, digestion process begins, and upon this digestion, the cholesterol is released, absorbed into your circulation, as you can see there. But when you eat soluble fiber, it travels down and the digestion process takes place, as you can see there. And then this soluble fiber begins to mop up the cholesterol. All that yellow stuff you see in there is cholesterol, mops it up, takes it all along the small intestine to the large intestine, and that's it, to the large bowel there, straight through, and you expel it. So here are a few take-home messages for you. The first one is that if we interrupt the liver bowel circulation by eating smartly, we will lower our LDL cholesterol. If you remember, the good cholesterol, which is the HDL cholesterol, actually moves the bad cholesterol from our arteries, takes it to the liver, and the liver makes bile with it. The liver pushes the bile into our bowel, and if we eat soluble fiber foods, then the soluble fiber food is just going to bind the LDL cholesterol, and then we expel it. So that's the first take-home message. The second take-home message is that constipation is bad news for cholesterol control. The reason for this is the transit time when you're constipated is much longer. That means there's more time for the cholesterol to get reabsorbed back into circulation straight into the liver as well. So we don't want that. You don't want constipation. That's why the regularity is very important, and that's where soluble fiber also helps as well. Soluble fiber is our princely tool. That's the third message. That's because the soluble fiber performs the two functions we're talking about. It makes us regular, A, and B, it actually attracts and binds the LDL cholesterol that we're trying to get rid of. So this is how the process works. It's very smart, and we can take advantage of it and use it to actually lower our LDL cholesterol.
I want to appreciate Dr. Joe for coming on Body Care today, talking to us on how to lower high cholesterol naturally. So we want to go for a break, and after we come back, Nick Care is bringing us health tips.
It's the number one health show.
The state government is gradually easing the lockdown to allow for minimal movement.
As responsible citizens, we also have our roles to play
in ensuring a safe and secure society.
I would like to encourage you to be sensitive, cautious,
and on guard for your personal state of well-being and others.
Please stay at home if it is not necessary for you to go out.
And if it is important for you to go out,
kindly protect yourselves
by observing social distancing.
Also washing your hands regularly, especially if it's a public place.
And taking your bath before relating with members of your family.
Don't forget to use your alcoholic-based sanitizer.
Avoid sharing of utensils with friends and even family members.
Make sure you take warm water regularly to keep your body warm.
Stay safe, stay at home, keep the rules.
We appreciate the immense contributions of our frontline medical personnel to minimize the casualty figures during this pandemic, while our hearts go out to those who have lost loved ones.
Join the force to beat this pandemic.
This message is brought to you by Electronic Media Content Owners Association of Nigeria, EMCON.
It's the number one health show.
This is Health Tips segment, and we're going to be talking about food poisoning and all you need to know about food poisoning, the treatments, the symptoms, and the prevention. Food poisoning is a common yet distressing and sometimes life-threatening. Food poisoning is usually from eating, drinking water that is contaminated with bacteria, virus, and parasites. Symptoms and severity vary depending on the kind of bacteria, virus, or parasite that has infected an individual and how much of the foodborne organism that are in the body and how well your immune system is fighting it off. Food poisoning causes some mix of this ranging from mild intestinal discomfort or cramps in the stomach and gut. Number 2, severe dehydration. Number 3, bloody diarrhea. Number 4, nausea. Number 5, vomiting. Number 6, muscle ache. It can start as early as 1 hour after eating tainted food and as late as 10 days or longer, depending on the foodborne organism that is causing the infection. Diarrhea and vomiting can really throw you off your body balance, your body fluid, and electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals such as sodium and potassium that helps with everything from keeping your heart beat normally to controlling how much water you retain in your body. Food poisoning is more dangerous for some people than others. It is best to call a doctor for an adult of 60 years of age and older, for babies and children, people with chronic illness or weak immune system, and pregnant women. Treatment of food poisoning, things to do at home. Number 1, try and drink plenty fluid. Start with small sips if you need to. Number 2, avoid food for the first few hours as your stomach settles down. Number 3, drink an electrolyte solution or take oral rehydration therapy, which will replace the minerals that you have lost. Number 4, eat when you feel ready, but start with small amounts of food and non-fatty foods. Number 5, get plenty of rest. Number 6, stay away from dairy, caffeine, alcohol, bubbling or fizzling drinks, spicy or fatty foods. They can just make everything worse.
and when to call the doctor. Number 1, when you have sign of severe dehydration. Number 2, dry mouth or extreme thirst. Number 3, not peeing much or dark concentrated urine. Number 4, rapid heartbeat or low blood pressure. Number 5, weakness, dizziness of a light-headed feelings or light-headed feelings. Number 6, blood in your vomit or poo. Number 7, blurry vision. Number 8, diarrhea for more than 3 days. And number 9, extreme pains or cramps in your belly. Number 10, throwing up that won't stop. 11, tingling in your arms. Number 12, weakness in your muscle. And these are the prevention. Number 1, avoid eating raw or spoiled meat. Number 2, do not let juices or drippings from raw meat or poultry, shellfish touch other foods you plan to serve or eat. Number 3, do not drink unpasteurized milk. Pasteurized are eaten before being sold to kill the bacteria. Number 4, avoid soft cheese. Number 5, check the expiration date of your consumables. Number 6, wash your hands regularly before cooking or eating, after changing diaper, coughing or sneezing. Number 7, wash your cutting boards and knives very well before the next use. Number 8, wash raw vegetables and fruits very well before eating, especially those that will not be cooked. Number 10, go for hot foods, hot drinks, and well-sealed bottled drinks. It kills the germs. And if you have babies, breastfeed your babies. Mother's milk is the safest food for young infants. It prevents foodborne illnesses and other health problems. As a warning note, if you are ill with diarrhea and vomiting, do not prepare food for others, especially infants, the elderly ones, those with weakened immune system, because they are more likely to get sick from infection.
Memories are created daily from events, photo and video shoots. Having the perfect studio, equipment and right team is everything. That's why I completely trust Arwell's Media with my event coverage, studio space, equipment, photo and video shoots. You too can have your memories and ideas created at premium quality by dialing 0701 699 6787 or send an email to jybtvonline@gmail.com. Arwell's Media is easily accessible at a secured and serene environment at number 6 Ajumobi Street off Acme Road, Agidingbi, Ikeja, Lagos. Arwell's Media, solving problems, executing visions, and giving value.
Thank you so much, Nika, for that health tip, talking to us about food poisoning. Okay, we want to appreciate you for staying with us through our Health Monitor today. Please take advantage of all this health-friendly information that has been put in place to make sure that your health is in top shape. I want to catch you again on Health Monitor, your guide to good health. My name is Jibe Uloge signing out.